The following is a presentation of the Belly Up Sports Media Network.
Welcome back, Haymaker Combat Sports, powered by the Belly Up Sports Media Network. This is a Quickie episode. I am your host, E.J. Reed, joined by my fellow host, Steve Johnson. How's it going, Steve?
Pretty good.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And let's just get right into it. This is a Quickie episode, so we'll start quickly. This past weekend, we had a Fight Night card, Fight Night 235. And let's just get right into the main event. We had Nasruddin Imavov defeating Roman Dolidze by decision, majority decision. This was an interesting fight, man. It was pretty much domination by Imavov. I think he won all 5 rounds. That first round, he almost got him out the paint. He hit him with some good. He dropped him. I don't know if it was a right or left he dropped him with, but he dropped him, and then he was almost got him out there with some ground and pound. Then there was some controversy. That 4th round, he had that hand down and he kicked him in the face. Imavov kicked Dolidze in the face in that 4th round. Got a point taken away, which I agree with. And then you had some back and forth between him and Chris Curtis. Like, that was weird. But pretty much all around, Imavov was beating Dolidze to the point and was stinging them every time they were on the feet. And Dolidze, he tried to wrap him up. He tried to grapple. And I like how he wasn't getting points for that. And that's how judges been really judging it with this new era of judging, not giving them points just for standing there and controlling them and getting them against the fence. But every time they weren't grappling or in the clinch, Imavov was stinging them. But like I said, it was domination. But this judging, man, it had one judge I agree with. The judge that had it 49-44, but one judge had it 47-47. I don't know where that came from. And even the 48-46. I think Imavov won all 5 rounds, but the point taken away, so that's why I can see the 49-44. But I think it should have been like 50-45 all the way around. What were your overall thoughts on this fight, man?
Yeah. Like I said, I was watching it, and then watching that first round, I damn near considered it done and really wasn't paying attention. Then the second round started. I'm like, oh shit. So he hung in there to make it to the second round in the further decision. To me, it felt like Imavov controlled the fight, especially with striking, and Dolidze really couldn't do anything with the striking and tried the grappling and really couldn't do nothing with that. Real dominant win over Imavov, and luckily he didn't if I'm not mistaken, Imavov threw that illegal kick to the head, right?
Yeah, one hand down, and I think we talked about this on the previous show, how like the rules are different from each state, and I think they just decide on it's supposed to be kind of uniform recently or something like that with that rule, but for now on it's still confusing. Yeah,
I think so. I looked up something like that, and I think they literally gonna take that away because it's just too confusing. And like you said, I think we talked about it. Either knee has to be on the ground, or you're considered a standing opponent.
Yeah. Yeah, well, they need to get something uniform. But what do you think about the little hoopla, like with Imavov going at Chris Curtis? Because Chris Curtis was a coach of Dolidze. What do you think about that whole brouhaha?
Well, for I guess publicity for a fight, I guess in the future, put that stock in the bank, because any fight with a background is good.
Well, remember they faced off against each other before. I think this was the fight before. It was Imavov versus Curtis, and that ended in that no contest. Remember?
Yeah, you sure is right. Yeah.
So it feels like they still got bad blood. So like you said, I think they probably maybe trying to set up something for that rematch so they can finally settle that.
Definitely. It may be real beef, but it's very smart. Smart marketing for them to even as a not even saying it's fake because you have to have guts as a fighter. Call these dudes out, especially if you have history with the fighter that you had before.
Definitely, and Imavov, I think, does he just have a beef with that whole crew? Because before the Curtis fight, he lost the Sean Strickland. I guess he may be trying to go through the whole crew. So
definitely
the Frenchman. If it's not Chris Curtis, because I don't know if I think we talked about this earlier. I think Chris Curtis was like 14, maybe 15, if he was ranked at all. We watched so many fights, I can't even remember. That would be going backwards because Imavov is 11. Dolidze is 8. So if they don't make that Chris Curtis fight, what do you see Imavov going in the future?
Well, he just Imavov. He was 10. What was he?
11.
11.
Mm-hmm. I know one thing. If you're thinking about it right now, I think a fight with Brendan Allen. I think Brendan Allen's like number 7 or so.
Definitely, and Allen just came off a loss too, so I think that would be a good fight to for him to enter the top 10.
This whole middleweight division, though, I mean, it's kind of in a little flux. There's no stability at the top. DDP just got the title off of Strickland. Who knows what Izzy's gonna do? So I don't know, man. It
feels like my bad.
Go ahead.
It feels like a few other fights in middleweight have been lagging or has to be done or hasn't been. You got Cannonier, and you have Paul Acosta still has his spot, but he doesn't fight too often. So middleweight is like a draggy in the quicksand, not quicksand, but flow division to speed things up, I guess, for championship fights.
Definitely. So yeah, we'll keep an eye out on what happens and how that division shakes out. But let's talk about this co-main event. They had Renato Moicano defeating Drew Dober in a unanimous decision, and this seems like it was a grappling 1-on-1. Moicano dominated him in the grappling department. It wasn't super dominant because that second round, like halfway through it, Drew Dober was able to reverse it and do some damage himself. But other than that, it was basically Moicano dominating in the grappling department. I mean, what were your thoughts on this one?
Definitely saw Drew Dober had potential to hurt him. I think he cracked him on that first takedown in the first round. Before he got taken down, ever since then, it was downhill. I think it established that first takedown that he has power to control me, so to speak. And he was able to get up, but it was like every attempt drained the gas tank of even a quicker potential to get up during the first, second, and third. And there were so many takedowns where he was kept there in effort before he got up. I think that was the factor that got him out of there. Every time he got up, definitely had the power to possibly knock him out, but couldn't take down that takedown, especially wrapping around to the back. He really couldn't stop that specific takedown. And then he tried to do the same thing and try the grappling game, which he showed that he does have potential, but tried to do it a second time and just wasn't smart. In the second round, I guess he tried to do the same trick and ended up getting reversed by Marciano, and it turned out to be a good fight for him and a dominant win as far as grappling.
So Drew Dober, he has a name, within the MMA community. I don't know how mainstream he is, but he has a name in the MMA community as far as the hardcore fans. think he's like 35 or so. He's not a spring chicken. So what is he doing at this point? Like, is he just sticking around for the money? Because he's a guy, he's not gonna get a title shot or anything like that. So is he just that guy you keep on the card where you know you can have a good hand and draw a couple eyes because you know he's like one of those pretty boys. Like he has a lot of lady fanfare. Everybody talks about him as far as that goes. So what do you see him doing now?
Definitely, he was on track on being shot up into the upper echelons of the division, but as you see, certain people that get that gatekeeping opportunity, you know, Bobby Green, which he may have won, but after that, you didn't win your next one, so he has to go down. And he's an exciting fighter. I like to see him fight. You know, there's going to be fireworks, but running into fights like these, it really doesn't help him as far as him being promoted as an exciting fighter. If you're going to get dominated that good by a grappler, you're just going to end up swimming in the middle or the upper or the back of the top 10 line. And I think that's what basically he has to do, get these exciting fights that are lower gatekeepers, or get a streak win and test your skills again to top, you know, 10 or middle 5 fighter and lose. And that's looks like what's been happening lately. So we're going to have to see.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. Let's talk about this next fight, though, in the welterweight division. We had Randy Brown defeating Muslim Sakilov. KO first round, starched him towards the end of that round. And it looked like it was like a grazing shot, but he was out by hitting. I think he followed up with that second shot, which really got him out of there. Very impressive by Randy Brown. What are your thoughts on this one?
Yeah, definitely. As he explained, he was getting in there, getting back into his feng shui and fighting like he does in the gym. And I think I really saw that. Of course, you have a filling out first part of the round, but then after that, what was it, a pause or a eye poke, was it?
Yeah.
After that, it seemed like he turned on another notch, and you see him pick it up, and he looked very sharp, even and sharper than before the eye poke. And I think he just decided to turn it up and got him out of there with that strike. And from what I saw, what the commenters saw, that really wasn't needed a second shot. That first shot got him out of there. And I think it was very impressive. And I think Randy Brown, I'll have to look at his record, but I think he has had a style to where his style, he's outskilling these people right now in his area where he's in the rankings. And I think he's been ready to fight these upper echelon welterweights. And plus, every time I see him fight, maybe depending, every time I see Randy Brown fight, I always mistake how big he is. And he damn near looks like a middleweight. Definitely, I think he has potential to destroy welterweights of above. We just have to see a test for him.
Well, you kind of jumped into my next question. I was going to say, like, where do you see him as far as like pecking order and how he falls in line in that welterweight? How do you see him fitting in this welterweight division?
I'd like to know his ranking.
I'm not for sure if he was ranked. It's a bad job by me as a podcaster, but I don't know if necessarily if he's ranked. My internet is being slow right now, but whether he's ranked or not, like who would you want to see him go against in the future?
Definitely a top 10 welterweight. His skill level definitely shows it. It's sharp. He shows his dominance in striking, and his last fights, for real, from what I noticed, I've never seen him in a compromised position.
So Randy Brown is not ranked. So you want to throw him right there in the top 10?
Top 15.
Top 15. Top 15, you have Renat in there, and Michael Chiesa, Kevin Holland, Neil Magny, Jack Della Maddalena, and Ian Machado at number 10.
Shoot, that Machiano fight that just happened though. That's a good put them two together.
So Makano, that's the lightweight division with Hanato Makano. So I mean, Kevin Holland, he's about to face MVP. Maybe get the winner of that one.
I can definitely see that. Yeah. MVP. He's not in the. He's in that top 15.
I mean, he hasn't had a fight in the UFC yet, so he's not ranked.
I would say that, yeah. Or yeah, depending on the winner of that fight. I wouldn't say a top 10 yet. I would usually like to see a top 15 and see how dominant that one is and throw him in the top 10 after that fight, depending how well he does.
Yeah. I like Randy Brown, and I think he's a prospect in that division, so we'll keep an eye out on what happens with him. But let's go to this next fight. We had Natalia Silva defeating Viviane Araújo by unanimous decision, and this fight was I like Silva her output in this fight because she was moving around. She was beating Viviane to the punch, and she was sticking and moving, popping that jab. She even dropped her in that second round. And Araújo, she tried to clinch, but every time Silva would get her off her, she would just pop that jab. Her kicks too. She was doing spinning kicks, and Silva just looked like the faster fighter. And Silva number 8 with no, she was number 9, and Araújo, she's number 7. So going forward, who would you like to see Silva face in the top 8? Because I'm sure they're gonna move her up. You got Amanda Ribas, you got Macy Barber, Jessica Andrade. Who would you like to see her face if out of those 3?
Both of those seem equal. Ribas, Macy Barber, she has a sort of rising stardom name. That'd be a good person to fight for, advertisement. Yeah, I would say those two, especially how confident she won that fight. So, like you said, controlling her that whole fight. I think she deserves those 2 fights that are available to her.
Definitely, she's definitely a prospect in this flyweight division. That's another division where anything can happen. With the champion, Alexa Grasso. I mean, she didn't really defend it because it was a draw, so we don't even know if she's going to be a dominant champion. So that division is always for the taking. So we'll see what happens with that one. Let's talk about this middleweight fight. Excuse me if I butcher these guys' names. It's Ali Skab Kurzev versus Makhmud Muradov. And this one ended in an accidental eye poke within the first 10 seconds. And I was kind of disappointed. I wanted to see the guy scrap. And this is something that we talked about on previous episodes with the eye pokes. Any fix for this? What do you think they could do to fix this problem?
The best thing to do is make it more strict, or you're just going to have to do a hard curve in the gloves. I mean, that's in the more I think logical one is you're going to have to put a penalty real hard, it really force people, because it will make it part of the game, when pretty sure in basketball traveling was introduced. I'm pretty sure people had to adjust to that rule, and I think if it's getting to this problem where it's stopping fights, and especially one of the number one things that should be protected in a fight game is a head. But if you're looking at the head, I think the eyeballs are the number one things to protect in fighting. And you're just gonna have to put maybe first 1 point, second time 2, and that would definitely factor in a new factor in the fighting game.
Definitely. Like, I don't know, because they came out with that new design where allegedly where you automatically pushes like your hand down some, but seems like I guess that hasn't worked.
Mm-hmm.
I just don't know what you could do, because I feel like if you were to put tips on the end of it, fighters would complain about it being restrictive on somehow. But maybe, I don't know. Like, could you design them, have them like almost like no gloves, like all like just have like a just straight up full glove? I don't know. Would that work?
I can say it would, but just like it's gi or no gi, you would have to really adjust your grappling as far as grabbing or submissions. You almost have to use your forearms or the wrists, or if you can get a good grip, almost hook your hands onto somebody's limb, because you can't for real. I mean, that's if you're going to use those gloves, it's going to significantly take down the skills of these submission practitioners.
Yeah. You just hate to see a fight end like that. So hopefully they'll reschedule it or something, and we'll see what happens with that one going forward.
Mm-hmm.
And then in the curtain jerker, this one in the welterweight division, you had Charles Raddick defeating Gilbert Urbina by TKO. Dropped him twice towards the end of the round. Like, it was like 10 seconds left when he got him out there. I don't know if you got a chance to see this one. Did you get a chance to see this curtain jerker?
No, not this one.
Yeah, he dropped him twice, and he's a bit of a trash talker. He was what camp is he in? It's escaping my name, but he was talking a little trash at the end of the fight, and we'll see. I mean, the welterweights, like I said, the welterweight is the division where you have a champion, Leon Edwards. He's proven his mettle, but I don't go off on a limb and say he's a super dominant champion at this point. So anything can happen in that division. And I won't go through all these prelim fights, but the ones that caught my eye was Molly McCann. I know you know Molly McCann, Meatball Molly. She defeated Diana Belbita by submission armbar. And I guess like talk about Molly a little bit. Is she basically like a gatekeeper as well? She's an excited fighter. People like to see her, but I don't know what's her ceiling, especially her back down to strawweight. I think she's been floating between strawweight and flyweight.
Yeah, she definitely had it. She was definitely riding the wave of Patty the Batty too, but she had a few a losing streak, and I think that's what got her off her projection into that. As a factor, as a woman's bantam strawweight fighter, I think she will be I don't even want to say I think she has to get another win streak for her to be gatekeeping, because I think she went below that. I think her gatekeeping status stopped when she got that first loss coming off that Patty the Batty wave, because they were promoting them both together from what I saw and putting them in the same card.
Yeah, they were. Yeah, she's a fun fighter, but she's definitely got holes in her game. So yeah, I think they'll continue to use her on these fight nights, and if there's an opening on the pay-per-view, they might put her on like the prelims and whatnot. But she's fun to watch. And this one more fight I would talk about. It's a fun story. Were you aware, or did you see the story about Themba Gorimbo?
I actually watched that fight, or saw 32 seconds of it.
To give a background, he had what they say he had like $7 in his bank account, something like that. And Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson saw the story and hooked him up. I think he want to hook them up with like an apartment and some money. And it's a good story. He's from Africa. I want to say from South Africa. I might be wrong, so excuse me if I am. But
Zimbabwe.
Okay, Zimbabwe. My bad. I thought he was from South Africa. Zimbabwe. And yeah, started from the bottom, as they would say, and he proved that he belonged in the UFC. Like you said, he starched them in not too long, and he got that guy out of it. So that was a fun story. Like, what were your thoughts on that one?
Oh yeah, starched him, got him out of there. Didn't know that backstory.
Mhm.
It was only 32 seconds. I would like to see more of him in the future, to see, a good or just to see if he's just one of those new people that just starts everybody in his way.
Yeah.
Definitely.
And go ahead.
What are you about to say?
No, go ahead.
Definitely looking forward to his future fights. And I think, by the way he knocked him out, I think he has that potential for anybody future that has to fight him.
And they said his bread and butter was grappling, and he got him out there by starching him on the feet. So seems like the sky's the limit for this dude. And he said he wants to be champion by the end of 2024. That may be a little bit ambitious for him, but I mean, if you believe it, then you can achieve it. So if he believes it in his mind, maybe he can get it done. With that might be far reaching, as far stretch, but I'd like to see what he does next, man. I mean, another welterweight fight. So, like I said, that division is open, but maybe if he keeps going on the road, maybe towards the end of 2025, that could happen. But 2024, that might be a reach.
Well, if he does that, he has the potential to shoot past Ngannou. Plus, having Wayne Johnson help you, that's gonna add on to any success story, out of poverty in Africa,
For sure. So that's a little fun story. Yeah, we'll keep an eye out on him in the future. But yeah, that brings us to the end of this Quickie episode. And like I mentioned on the previous episode, the video form will be exclusive on the Belly Up Sports YouTube page, but then audio will be on all the major podcast platforms. So like and subscribe on YouTube and download on audio. And until next time, be safe out there. Peace.